Alright, good afternoon. Welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. We are working on our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough. We are working on Icebrood Saga. Kind of plugging through it because we're at the Champions chapter, which is kind of a grind because what you find yourself doing again and again and again are dragon response missions. So we still got a number of those left to go. There's no real getting around that. I can't even skip it because I haven't completed any of that on this count. I suppose if I had, then the option would simply be for me to make a statement, yeah, there are a whole bunch of dragon response missions, and then pick up later. But since I haven't done it on this count, we'll just go ahead and continue to plug through those. So our next one is Thunderhead Peaks. Now, there was some dialogue leading up to that, kind of explaining the Thunderhead Peaks thing. I think one of the dwarves actually contacted us. But I didn't capture that because I ended my last video and then the audio automatically triggered for that, and there was like nothing I could do about it. So we're just gonna have to accept the fact that we missed a tiny bit of audio, which leads us into Thunderhead Peaks for yet another dragon response mission. Or is that what they are? Dragon response missions, I think so. This one is nowhere close to my favorite. This one is probably my least favorite. The Lake Doric one is also one that I don't particularly like. Part of the reason that I really dislike this one is the morale boosts are pretty punishing. Not easy to generate. And the little mission after the morale boost is also not a lot of fun. But then again, the dragon response missions in general are not a lot of fun. Is this over and over and over again without any real substantive like storytelling or anything? That doesn't necessarily feel good. But I talked about that in the last video too. Nothing's changed. And it's going to be the case pretty much all day today. So I would love to try to finish Icebrood Saga today. Now that we're in this portion of Icebrood Saga, I just soon have it done. However, I don't know whether we're going to be able to do that or not because the amount of time that gets consumed by dragon response missions. Even giving myself a few hours today to try and do that, it feels like a long shot.
Since Kralkatoric's defeat, these are the lucky few who escaped today. We had no warning, Commander. Between one moment and the next, the beasts flooded in from every corner. We lost good people. We can't lose the stronghold too. Certainly not to destroyers.
You want us to take back the keep injured, distorted, and unarmed? I don't like our odds.
Strength of will and heart go pretty far.
Well then, let's lend them a little of ours and get them ready to go back in.
Alright, so we took care of the destroyer thing real quick. We still got 2.5 minutes left. There is a possibility. In fact, there's a very high possibility that if we hustle, we can get a second morale boost here. But I'm not even... I mean, might I start sparring if we get these done fast enough? Possibly, but I don't see a scenario where we're able to get that. Actually, let's take care of these guys. They're closer. I should be using that speed skill too, because that swiftness should last even after I use the medical supplies. Like, who designed this and thought to themselves, this will be like super compelling for players? You know, I think it's a valid question. Most of Icebrood Saga is so good, and then the end of Icebrood Saga feels like a studio just trying to buy time. Alright, we got our second morale boost. We got 1.5 minutes left. I don't see a scenario. Now, in fairness, when it comes to these morale boosts and like getting 3 of them done, I think like the constraints were designed for a party. And I simply think what happened is, again, in the interest of just doing as little work as possible because they were focusing on other things, the studio chose to simply leave those constraints the same
They'll have to hit much harder.
for private group, and that includes a one-person group. So I have a sneaking suspicion that like these things don't scale at all. I don't know that 100% because I've never done a public instance of one of these. I've done private instances with like 1, 2, 3 people. Yeah, we're definitely not going to get 10 spars. Spars? Is that a thing? We're not going to spar 10 people in time. So I don't even care. We'll hang out with Bram. We got 2 of the morale boosts, which for Thunderhead Peaks is definitely the goal. 3 is not a realistic goal. The one thing of note, the soundtracks in these are like cool. I think they did a pretty good job with the music. Might as well give them credit for something. As bad as this content is, like, good music.
Be ready for what we might find on the other side of that door.
I assume it's going to be destroyers, because that's literally all these things are. Escort missions and destroyers. And soon it'll be escort missions and Frost Legion. A little bit of a spoiler there, I suppose, but again, there's no real, like, substantive storytelling taking place, so I don't know that there's that much to spoil.
Spirits. Wait, are those Deldrimort dwarves?
Guess we really are the reinforcements.
If you've got any
I could outrun a centaur. Feel the fury.
Never expected to see so many of your people on the surface. Stoya snorted rising faster than we can beat them back.
Torment woke up, and I triggered Primaris.
Figures. Enough talk. Make it thicker, Father Abe.
Alright, so this escort's a little bit different. In fact, this isn't really an escort. It's more a, kill all the things type mission. I guess that sets it apart from some of the others, because most of them are escorts. It doesn't feel that different, though.
I'll break you down. Wither.
Not even sure that guy's worth getting up, to be honest. Forgive me if I don't have much to talk about during this phase. There's not much to talk about. I could continue to talk about how uninspired this content is.
Harder. Clear the air. Feel the fury.
I guess you could make a compelling argument. It would genuinely be a compelling argument. Like, it would have merit. That it is still an improvement over a content drought. And I would have no choice but to acknowledge that that's true.
I'll break you down.
None of this makes any sense. So much better.
Alright, so we just had a whole bunch of dialogue, and I'm almost certain that it was, like, not clear because of the audio of the game. So Bram is talking to Myron Stialkin. Bram says, you were Priory, now you're Crystal Bloom. That's a jump. Myron says, I'm also a Norn who sometimes walks as a bear. A lot of things can be true at the same time. I'm on board. Myron says, read a treatise. Jeez. Clearly I'm not an academic. Treatise once that suggested the dragons of fire and ice might be twins. Didn't expect confirmation. Because remember, that's... Jormag has told us that. Now, I would point to what Bram said in response to Jormag, providing us information about their relationship, which is that Jormag lies. It's kind of their thing, right? I'm on board with that. But this is important to the story, so we might as well, address it. Yeah, didn't expect confirmation. Bram says, so Jormag claims. Myron says, might validate the theory that the only thing that can kill one is the other. This is a disaster. It is like the ultimate easy way out when it comes to ArenaNet storytelling. Like, coming up with something like intelligent, interesting, something that's going to engage the players, that's such a big ask. So instead, something that some of the players had already speculated about for a long time, ArenaNet's just going to go ahead and implement that as part of the lore, and now we are learning only Primordius can kill Jormag, only Jormag can kill Primordius. The one benefit to this, while I liked the Dragon's story arc as a Guild Wars 2 thing, I never imagined it would take 10 years to resolve. And so we do see a deliberate effort on ArenaNet's part to finally bring the dragon stuff to an end. And in order to do that as quickly as possible, we need to take out a couple of dragons at the same time. Bram goes on to say, how does that square with the tale we were told that the Norn of prophecy can kill Jormag? None of this makes any sense. Then Myron says, the ultimate, stupid thing. The truth of a prophecy isn't always clear until it's come to pass. In other words, Myron just basically, wholesale endorses confirmation bias. And Bram says, thanks, I feel so much better. This is a huge step back for Icebrood Saga in terms of storytelling. It's a huge step back for Icebrood Saga in terms of dialogue. And that's not that strange because we also have seen that with a couple of the other Dragon Response missions, where they seem to be, really kind of poorly thought out. It's almost like ArenaNet took some of their best folks and moved them on to other stuff. And just, let, the janitor and the legal department work on the story for the end of Icebrood Saga. And I'm missing something further up. Where am I? Maybe not. Maybe... yeah, the barracks must just be further down. This must still count as lower path. I hope so. No, this counts as barracks, so we missed someone further up. That's one of the kind of, mildly frustrating things about this one, is we kind of have, this escort aspect where we move down with Bram and Myron and so forth, but then, you find yourself coming back up because, did you miss something? Oh, there we go. Now, I suppose if you were in a party with several people, you could just take different routes. And then you get, as a group, you can clear everything out. This might be much more entertaining in a group. I said that last video, I'll say it again. I think probably I would be having a lot more fun if I were doing this with other people. I don't know that it would vindicate the content. I don't know that there is any, vindicating this or kind of letting them off the hook for this, but maybe.
Glad that's over.
Me too, Bram. You know when I'm gonna say glad that's over, Bram? When we're done with Icebrood Saga. End of Dragons is pretty good. All things considered. There are some dynamics in End of Dragons that are mildly annoying, but it's pretty good. It's going to be an improvement over this. Now one of my concerns about trying to get Icebrood Saga done today isn't just the Dragon Response missions, of which I think we have 3 or 4 left after this.
Feel the fury.
There's at least, let's see, I can think of 2 right off the bat after this one. 3 right off, 3. There's at least 3 that I can think of after this one. So it isn't just the Dragon Response missions. There's an incredibly long instance yet to come as well. Or it feels incredibly long to me. It might only be half an hour. I can't imagine it being less than half an hour. It could well be 45 minutes or more, though. It feels tremendously long.
Wither. Clear the air.
Finally.
This isn't the source. What's happening down in the forge? That's where the destroyers surfaced, right?
How did you think the forge attracted them? Then it's changing them.
It's making them stronger. I know that much.
Fat, and with extra lava.
Here's our boy Myron. So Myron. So many clever things he has to say. Alright. So are we heading to the forge, or I guess I have to wait for them to stop being distracted by stuff. So we do get again, like some of that, Bram can sense he can sense the destroyers, somehow. Not just sense them, like, where they are, but also, like, he seems to have an understanding of, what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Okay. I was not expecting it to be that big.
Can I not grab those? At some point you can grab the spears. That is one thing that's helpful with this one. This one's rough. At least in my opinion. This one's rough. We'll see how it goes. I wonder if while it's walking around we can just go ahead and grab this. That way I don't forget it. I did go back and get the one that I forgot last time. I did that this morning, which meant doing yet another Dragon Response mission. So however many we're doing today, 4 or whatever, we're gonna end, I will have ended up doing one more than that. Not a good feeling. Oh yeah, so one of the things that we get in this one is those eggs, and if you don't get those eggs down, then they get to be kind of problematic. Because it's just going to lead to more destroyers. But then it ends up being a distraction from everything else you're trying to do. I mean, most notably, fight this guy.
Feel the fury.
So, like, we're losing all this time to do damage. All that DPS wasted because we're killing an egg.
I'll revive you soon. I choose you. We heal as one.
Man, our pets are going to be going down fast. Well, my pet. Unless you have a pet here too. I don't know. But my pets are obviously going to die super quick. Going to be of almost no use at all. It's too bad I'm not a soul beast. I could just get rid of them. Really feel like I dodged that, but okay. So if there's one thing this guy, that we have going for us in terms of this fight versus, some of the others, it's that he's very like formulaic, right?
Time to do some real damage.
Also, these periods of time when he's just off wandering around, he shouldn't regen, which means it's an opportunity for us to take some stuff off cooldown, heal, whatever.
We heal as one. I chose you.
Oh, see? Myron's keeping him busy for us. Myron will die soon, though. In fact, that might be the end of Myron, that attack. And unfortunately, I don't think he gets the thing around him. Man.
We'll have to hit much harder. This thing's not going down
There we go.
easy.
Those were made for Krokatoris' energy, not the voices. Can you use Orion's gift to alter the power of the spear? Maybe slow some?
Apparently, I already did, because I already used one spear.
Feel the
Do I
fury.
have to grab another one in order to use it? Oh. I didn't remember them being limited. Apparently, they're relatively limited. That's too bad. Because it was helpful. Oops. Oh well, too late.
We heal as one. Replenishing. I'll break you down. You sick? Wither. We heal as one.
Ram just making a bunch of noise. Oh man.
Come here.
Alright, looks like spears are available again. Or maybe they always were, and you could just only draw from one source at a time. We might take the time to go out of our way. We might end up regretting it too, because it's way over here, but
We heal as one.
again, we'll take advantage of that time to bring some stuff up. Ooh, we're not going to get to that egg in time. Are we? Nope, we'll live with it.
Feel the fury.
Which means really what we're doing is we're living with a whole bunch more ads, right?
My pet.
Not exactly what we wanted, but
Time to do some real damage.
More are coming. We're gonna get swarmed. It's going to take every one of us working together.
They'll have to hit much harder. We heal as one. Come here.
Oop. That was a blunder. Forgot I was actually targeting him. So a lot of people don't do that. They don't do the targeting thing, and they, you know, like they're very specific about their settings to avoid that exact situation. And I don't think by any stretch of imagination the people who, you know, take that approach are wrong. I just, when it comes like applying what skills I do and do not have in this game, I'm fairly lazy about how I go about certain things. Ah.
They'll have to hit much harder. Come here. You sick?
Too many elementals and destroyers. Commander's never gonna get a clean strike. It's not always the swipe of the claws that's most important in a battle. I'm open to suggestions. The destroyers are calling to you, aren't they? You sense each other. Do not against them. How did you break you down? What? Bang, bang, bang.
So we are getting a little bit of dialogue there. It's a little bit hard to pay attention to with everything else going on, but Myron has now kind of called out Bram for having that connection to the... Was it Myron? Yes. Myron called out Bram for having that connection to the destroyers. So apparently it's evident to other folks as well. And Myron is suggesting that it can be used by Bram to essentially allow him to perform as bait. So we'll see whether or not that has any impact. It's going to take us about 45 minutes to get there from the looks of things, but maybe Bram can help us out here.
They'll have to hit much harder. You sick? Is it just me?
Gross.
Many thanks to you and the dwarves.
They have us doing it.
Will we see more of your people?
See destroyers, they'll see us.
It was a pleasure and an honor to fight beside Aurine's champion.
Likewise, Mirren.
Somehow, I don't think this will be the last time. I understand the
God, I
weight
hope
you
it is.
carry, Erson, and its privilege. The Norn of prophecy. The spirit touched. There's a legacy in your blood and loyalty at your back. Yet none of that matters without heart. So find yours.
Man, even people who barely know Bram are like low-key kind of taking a dump on him there. Like just straight saying, Bram has no heart. Like, Bram, figure it out. Find your heart, dude. I guess that's the challenge of like trying to tell a story with almost no storytelling at all.
Commander, we've had a breakthrough. Come back to Radasum as quick as you can. I'm in the Arcane Council chamber.
I didn't remember that there was a little story break here. Okay, well, maybe we'll get something good. Or maybe it's just going to be more trash. We'll see. I think it shows the wrong waypoint. This is down on the second level. I'm going to go back up top.
I have everything you need right here.
All right. You think Ryland's going to be here? Ah, there he is.
We'll keep working to see how we can use it to our advantage.
Timetable?
The power readings aren't high enough to wake Primordus yet, if that's what you're asking.
Good enough. Gives us a little time to experiment. Counselors. Commander.
Steel catcher.
Commander's not happy to see Ryland. What's up, Tommy? Yeah, we have to wait for Ryland to leave, then talk time. Apparently, we don't have to wait. Oh, there they go. They magically disappeared.
What was he doing here?
Defeating Primordus will take more than just a pact, or its commander.
Information is more precious than munitions in this war. Jormag's champion came to receive it. As have you, I imagine.
That link we discovered between the destroyers and Primordus? A feedback loop amplified by Kralk's death.
Destroyers burn more, Primordus gets stronger, destroyers get more rabid. The effect is exponential. With Ryland's help, we've identified and measured the Ice Dragon's cumulative power versus that of the Fire Dragon.
Jormag and Primordus are polar opposites. The scales should be level, but they're not. Not anymore. Fire is winning.
We need to find a way to cut Primordus off from the flow, or reverse it back to the destroyers.
Or boost Jormag's power to level the field again.
That is a reasonable approach, though I question its wisdom.
Either way, we need more time to understand the nature of the power flow.
Perhaps your elder dragon will have some insights, Commander.
Perhaps. Timey, where do you think the destroyers will attack next?
Somewhere near Divinity's Reach in a day or so. Logan's preparing. Ritluck and Krisha are helping him.
Good. I'll check in with Aurene before I head over there.
All right, let's check in with Aurene. So the Asura are very much kind of one mind, or not of one mind, though they are largely of one mind, but seem to be one track on this, which is complete collaboration with Jormag. That does seem to be... What am I doing? Eye of the North. That does seem to be, like, pretty questionable. In particular, when the one counselor was like, oh yeah, you know what we should totally do? Boost Jormag's power. And at least, like, Goric, who's generally reliable for some pretty good dialogue, gives us some good dialogue in response to that. Like, good Goric style dialogue, right? So we can appreciate that. That's going to continue. You know, like, Goric doesn't change much going into End of Dragons. Like, he still has kind of a similar style and approach to him, which ends up being a source of some angst for the community, but I think overall ends up being pretty enjoyable.
We need to have a chat with Bangar.
Bangar? Not Jormag?
I'm wondering if he picked up more about Jormag and Primordus than he realizes.
Whoever's on comms, request immediate reinforcements at Doric Landing. We're under attack!
The destroyers hit early?
No, Icebrood. Sons of Sladir.
What?
Get over here. We're not ready for this.
Oh, no opportunity to talk to Bangar. We waypointed here just to enter a dragon response mission. Yeah, so we got Doric, we got Caledon, we got Fireheart Rise. Is there like one more? You know what, I think the achievements probably tell us. What is this? This is Champions. Caledon, oh, we still got Bloodtide too. And Snowdress? Caledon, oh my god, we have 5 of them? Yeah, I don't think we're going to finish Icebrood Saga today, because that's awful. Just brutal. I mean, look at just how much junk they threw in there, just trying to delay, like, the community getting frustrated over, like, actual story. Now, in fairness, like, there was a lot of stuff that went with this, to where some folks felt like, oh, you know, it is substantive, and if you feel it's substantive, like, then I'm not going to argue with you and say you're completely wrong. To me, it feels like garbage. It feels like very laborious and unrewarding. But they did, you know, like here there were skins with the Kodan thing, the Skrit. There's one weapon skin there. The Omicron gave us a whole bunch of recipes to craft different weapons, as well as a couple more here. Tengu. Exalted, a whole bunch more weapons. So, as well as another opportunity to get the Auric weapons if you're working on that collection. That's actually kind of a nice bow. That's not terrible. Deldrimor, infusion. If you're into infusions, I'm not. These are actually available for Karma in Ebonhawk. But I guess here's an alternative method of getting them if you don't want to spend your Karma. If you're hunting down skins, which we will do later, when we return to 0-0. So there are definitely folks who found it good in that sense as well, and there were folks who felt like these Dragon Response missions were similar to Strikes and felt like it was just that kind of content. I think it's awful content, but I do want to leave the door open for the folks who felt otherwise.
Folks were caught outside the walls. We gotta get them to safety.
Not everyone out here is armed. We were still getting things ready.
What happened?
1 minute it's balmy, the next everything's freezing over. People included.
They came from the rear while we were fortifying the place against destroyers.
We let them in. Thought they were here to help.
Okay, so this is really unfortunate. If you're way into the story, you spend almost a minute. We spent 30 some odd seconds just listening to dialogue. Like, ideally, that wouldn't happen, right? Ideally, they wouldn't trigger stuff until after you've had an opportunity to like catch up on the story. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? All right, let's try and get some of these. This should be something that we can easily do within the time. Is get, you know, rescue folks. So we're gonna try and do exactly that. I don't know that we're gonna get a whole lot else done between the time wasted listening to those dialogue and just everything else, but we'll see. Killing, you see there's no cross swords above any of these Icebrood. Killing Icebrood isn't one of our 3 things, right? We're currently in the process of rescuing rescuing the citizens. There's armed folks with weapons that might actually... Oh, did I accidentally pick up an improvised weapon? Where's the dude? And then there's, you know, rescue the civilians, improvise weapons, and kill the Icebrood captains, who are like, I think they're veterans? Alright, how many was that? That was only 4 civilians. I must have allowed a couple to die somehow. That's unfortunate.
Stay calm, stay alert.
Fortunately, we can mount up in these things, so at least we got that going for us. Oop. And what, we only got to do 5 of the weapons? Yeah, weapons are going to be by far our easiest easiest morale boost to get, because it's starting to look right now like we might only get 1 unless we're able to grab like a whole bunch of civilians real fast. But we're gonna finish the weapon thing first because it's the, you know, it's a 50-meter target. It's just the easiest thing to knock down.
Stay calm, stay alert.
Alright, how many of these can we grab without, like, losing them all to Icebrood? Probably not very many. I wonder if they can even follow me down here, or if that's just gonna... Oh yeah, they did. Nope. Let's see if we can stay away from that guy. Look at that guy out there among all that other stuff. We're gonna leave him alone too. Okay, we might actually have 6 with us. That's actually all we need. Is there anywhere to get up though? I wonder if they'll follow us if we just do that. Ooh, wonder if that killed any of them. We'll find out. Alright, we got it. So we got the 2 morale boosts that we could, you know, reasonably expect to get. We'll come down here and kill one of these captains, but it's not going to make a difference at this point. Now if we were on Reaper, you know, with just that ridiculous spike that Reaper has, then that would, you know, getting the captains would be a lot easier. As it is, I don't, you know, maybe I'm just not good enough at Untamed to generate the same kind of spike.
Word to Jenna. Divinity's Reach won't be caught unaware.
If they can't hit the Reach, they're bound to look for other targets.
Anyone not behind thick walls. else is gonna be in some serious trouble.
The 2 closest villages are on the other side of the lake.
Time to
I've
do some
already
real
sent
damage.
reinforcements.
Should split up. Cover more ground.
Wither.
Alright, there goes our escort, taking off without us. Ooh, they're on raptors too. We're gonna have a hard time catching up on a bunny. We'll go with raptor.
Anyone trying to escape was run down.
They beat us here. Quick, give our allies a hand.
Why did Krisha go a different direction? Oh, because there's actually several locations that we need to get to,
Jormag's
isn't it?
forces keep trying to herd people, not kill them outright.
Hurt them? For what?
Freezing. The spawn-in shamans work some sort of spell. Doesn't take long, but it seems to have a limited reach.
Dead or turned into ice blocks. What difference does it make?
Bet it makes a difference to Jormag.
So much busy work, man. And why do I call this busy work? Like, because isn't this kind of central to the game, right? Killing bad guys, like, it's just kind of what you do. Because there's nothing compelling happening here. That's what makes it feel like busy work versus, like, interesting gameplay.
I'll break you down.
I'll see you again.
Should be more villagers. Not enough dead and frozen to account for everyone.
Could the rest have escaped?
Would have seen them, unless they doubled back across the lake.
I'll break you down.
Wither.
So our next mastery, by the way, should allow us to actually start using those things. As you might recall, in 0 to 0, I never had the slightest interest in Icebrood masteries, Icebrood Saga masteries, and in fact still don't, if I'm being quite blunt. But as we advance our experience bar, we might as well get some masteries, right? I mean, heck, as long as we're getting the experience, we may as well put it to use.
If we can kill the shamans, maybe we can revert their magic.
Worth a shot.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Time to do some real damage. I'll revive you soon.
It's interesting how at this moment of, like, you know, in terms of where we are in our story playthrough, how it's like the polar opposite of Season 3, right? Because Season 3 has, like, some good gameplay, really. And it gives us a lot in terms of, like, access to ascended trinkets and stuff like that. But its storytelling is just, like, really poor. Most of Icebrood Saga, prior to Champions, has excellent storytelling. Well, and excellent gameplay, too. And then we get to this point where the gameplay is just atrociously bad. Like, maybe if they were telling us... The concept of the story is still better than Season 3. It's just that they're not telling a story right now. Well, the concept of the story, the whole Jormag versus Primordius thing notwithstanding, and going forward, that is going to start being, like, kind of the central premise of the story. So that is unfortunate, and that is down in season 3 levels. But man, after Drizzlewood Coast and everything, like, that's brutal.
Hurts doesn't feel the fury.
Killing the shamans isn't doing anything, except stopping them from making more ice blocks.
Keep it up! All we can do for now is save the living.
Huh. Sounds like the commander doesn't really have any, like,
Time
good
to do
ideas.
some real damage.
I've only come across a handful of Frost Legion. Think they might have gone rogue?
Doubt it. Everything I've seen, Jormag's forces fall in line behind Jormag's champion.
Keep an eye out. Ryland's got a lot to answer for.
Yeah, I wonder at what point Krisha and Ritlock just kind of give up entirely on Ryland, right? Like, is there some sense that, like, he's still redeemable? And I, you know, probably so. Probably there should be, but at some point that has to go away, right? It can't last forever after, like, these things are happening. Now this is the first time that we see, like, the Icebrood getting involved like this. We'll see that again in several more of the Dragon Response missions. In fact, maybe all of them from this point? I don't recall. See, Caledon is Icebrood. I don't remember Fireheart. Bloodtide Coast is Icebrood.
I'll break you down. They'll have to hit much harder.
Alright, is this going to be about it for this? Alright, we should begin in the boss pretty soon.
Logan, you're missing villagers.
They need a chance to escape. Let's give Ryland's Legion someone to punch.
Boars of the Ice Gavel. That's quite a name. Man, who was the person, like, coming up with these names? Oh my gosh. Alright, where's Boars? There he is. Oh, he looks like a proper Icebrood. At least we can give him that.
Work through me, Jormag. That through you the world might be preserved.
I think this guy's both.
Doesn't anybody specialize anymore?
This guy's both what? I don't understand what we're supposed to take that as. Both Frost Legion and Icebrood? Like, I mean, is there a distinction to where somebody would be both? I didn't realize there was that much of a distinction between the two.
Time to do some real.
Oh, no, there was some dialogue that was, like, inaudible because of everything else going on. where Ritlock says something about dealing with shamans, not giant warriors, and that's where Logan says this guy's both. All right. Well, I mean, who cares? Man, just incredibly tiresome, honestly.
Time to do some real damage.
Spells take concentration. Let's break his.
So there's where some of that CC is going to come in handy for you. Like all these, you definitely want to bring some CC. I don't even. You can make an argument that I'm not even bringing enough, honestly. But if I switch off of, my pet being the Untamed, and I go to the, I'm the one who's empowered, then I get a lot of CC there as well. With some of the pet skills, I just generally get complacent in keeping the pet as the one who's up, which probably isn't even like optimal, honestly. Great timing too. I should have just kept it there for a second. Now I do believe the NPCs give you some help when it comes to the CC thing as well. So in the event, and usually there's something around, like there's some rocks or something around. Usually they leave something laying around to help folks who don't carry enough. Which I think largely I agree with. Like, give the player the opportunity. There still should be a lesson learned, because there's this concept that content should be like a thing that a player learns to create a build for, and that forcing the players to do that is actually like good for the game, because it draws more players into harder content. Players don't have an excuse for taking the easy way. The easy way in terms of the content they choose, not taking the easy way out. But it's fine. I get that. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it though. I think the more elegant solution is simply have a variety of concept, or a variety of content. I think that's really probably the easier way to go. Now, if I remember right, the mastery point for this one's like up on top of something. Like it takes. We have Skyscale though, so that should be a non-issue. But if I remember correctly, if you don't have Skyscale, this one's like legit hard to get to because it's up on top. I mean, I presumably like Bunny can get up there, but. Happened to me. Oh, Ryland.
Mine. All mine.
That's enough. I've seen what I needed to.
This was your experiment? You're supposed to be fighting for our world.
Destroyers can't burn Jormag's frozen. This is how we destroy Primordus. Get your priorities in order.
What's wrong with you? These aren't fighters, they're farmers. You're cutting down innocent people.
They're not dead. One day, long after you've lived and died, they'll thaw, and I'll be there to lead them. Until then, their sacrifice will help unchain Jormag. Welcome to the new world.
Alright, so we get Ryland at his most Rylandy, right? And
Stop anything. What Ryland's done is as bad as the Destroyers.
That's true.
Would have been a lot worse without us. All of us here, working together.
We can't let these people stay frozen. There must be a way to reverse what Jormag's done to them.
And we'll find it. But now, we all need to stay on guard, against both fire and ice forces.
Guess we're fighting on two fronts after all.
Guess so.
Are we? Or are we just caught in the middle?
Oh, Logan. That was profound. Okay. Let's grab our mastery point. So, Jormag's, kind of exposed now as, the threat that, of course, we knew he was, and now, it's evidence on display. But again, there have been some times where, the Guild Wars 2 story, legit surprised me. I was like, oh, they decided to do something other than what I was expecting. End of Dragons had many things, honestly, that were different than what I was kind of expecting out of them. None of this really is, though. Hey, pit Primordius against Jormag is legit like an 8-year-old putting a couple bugs in a jar and shaking the jar. And it was easy to see from a long way off that they were painting themselves into a corner and probably weren't going to have any options. And that whole storyline goes all the way back to season 3 in terms of it being available to them and them not just being able to come up with a better idea. It just sat on the shelf for a long time with players like, they could probably do this. And then it happened, and it just, what a mess.
Commander, something is really, really wrong.
I know. The Ice Dragon's showing their true colors.
Not only that, there's a cry coming from near one of the Codan settlements. It's just, I think I need to be there. And I think you do too.
All right. So that's going to lead us to the next Dragon Response mission. But before we kick that off, we're going to go ahead and insert a video break because this is just going to go on and on and on until we vomit or I give up for the day or we actually complete Icebrood Saga. So, gonna take a break here and then shift to the next video. I mean, not really a break, but a video break. We're going to insert one right here. We're continuing to nug through the Dragon Response missions. We now have a very clear understanding that Bram is somehow connected to the destroyers. We just don't understand what that connection is, and we also, it is now abundantly clear within the storyline that Primordius and Jormag, Primordius versus Jormag, the fight of the century, is going to be a thing. I consider it exceptionally poor writing, but it's not the first time they've demonstrated exceptionally poor writing, so yeah, take it for what it is, I guess. When we come back, we are on our way to Snowden Drifts because there's a Codan settlement who's being confronted by dragon minions. So we'll pick it up there when we come back.